And we are live. We are live. We are live. What's going on, family? Whether you're coming in from Facebook, from LinkedIn, from YouTube, what is going on? Never Worked the 40 family. You guys already know the deal. If you guys are watching this live, type hashtag live in the comments. Hashtag live if you're watching live. Hashtag replay if you are watching the replay. Today's going to be jamming. I got my guy Nathan in, and when I tell you guys, he's just a wealth of knowledge. And personally, I don't really care where you're at in life right now. I think the value he brings is going to connect with you in any season of your life. Whether you're the employee, whether you're a full-time business owner, whether you're an employee trying to become a business owner, whether you have a business, whether you're going to buy a business, wherever you are in your life, Nathan is the guy for you. So I want you guys to just listen in to my guy Nathan. How are you doing, brother?
Dude, I'm stoked. I've really changed a lot as a human over the past 6 months. I bought a business about 6 months ago. I've been a full-time employee for my whole life, probably 12, 15 years in my adult career, and just bought a business after a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And I thought it'd be a cakewalk, not gonna lie. And it's been a lot of downs, a lot of ups too. And no, I didn't really have any guides or mentors, so I've kind of had to bootstrap and figure out how the heck I'm doing all this. And I've learned how to not tie my personal identity to my business identity. So like last week, I actually bought a chainsaw, and I've learned I can pick up free firewood throughout my area that I live. So my kids are learning how to chop wood, do something exciting, and I'm learning how to be a holistic human, not just a high power employee or some superstar business owner, but who am I as a person, and how am I showing up in my personal, professional, and my overall life. So, dude, life is good. I'm stoked to be here. Thanks for having me.
Nice, bro. That's awesome. Yeah, that's crazy. Dude, you just said so much there that I just love. When anybody that knows me knows like identity is everything to me.
Absolutely.
Everything you have in life flows through identity. But
And
you
it's
talk
that's the
about
crazy part. A lot of it is our self-talk. People say like, "Yeah, I am valuable. I am loved. I am a good person." It's when it's 2 o'clock in the morning or 9:30 at night, and you're thinking about tomorrow. You're like, "Oh, I shouldn't have eaten that. Oh, I can't. I'm dreading my Mondays." Those are the sneaky identities people don't realize they have until they're not monitoring their self-talk. So you're spot on. Identity is a pretty big word, and no one even knows 10% of it. It's incredible.
yeah, bro. It is everything, and I'm gonna bring it in. Like you start off with identity, that just gets me rolling, dude.
Yeah, totally. Well,
I know like everybody in my like circle is probably like, oh, here we go. Here comes the identity talk.
yeah. Well, and I think that's part of what gave me the courage and the confidence to actually go out and buy a business. A little bit about me. My grandparents, way back, I want to say like in the 50s or something, they actually owned a Ford dealership in St. Paul, Minnesota. It
Oh,
was in
wow.
one of the through one of the main drags, kind of called what was it, Grand Avenue, out in St. Paul. And so it was luck more than skill over anything, but they bought it right as the baby boomers were coming back from World War II, and their business just popped. They were like the elbow grease sales reps. They were selling bars of soap back when that was a thing, like the 20s. They happened to get into cars, and everything just blew up. They retired young and early. And you hear stories about that as a kid, like, okay, I can own something. For me, I'm a big thing of Becca, BECCE. That's building equity, collecting cash flow through the energy that I have. BECCE, building equity, collecting cash flow, energy. And so I had that in my head as a kid growing up. Great grandma, great grandpa, they owned a car dealership. Okay, that's a thing. Grandparents, they owned a small manufacturing business in the Twin Cities. Mom and dad wanted to go the higher income employee route. That's cool, that's fine, but I didn't see that in the day-to-day life. So I had to get back into what and how to do this kind of thing, because to me it was, when I say legendary, I don't mean it kind of like super aspirational. It was almost mythical, like trying to look through a fog or a haze. Like, I can see that this is a thing. I can see that those people can do it. I don't know how I do this though. And so that's some of the identity sides of things. What do my parents do? What does grandma, what does grandpa do? What do my friends' parents at school, what the heck do they do? And for me, it seemed more like, yeah, it's something that people out there that are smarter, more connected, more eloquent, they can do it. I don't know how I'm going to do it. So I always had to like bootstrap and figure it out on the fly. And when I saw someone that, okay, this person knows law, this person knows SBA loans, this person knows how to sell something, I'm not going to be the guy to figure it out. I'm going to go shake hands, introduce myself, get rid of those butterflies and say, hey, you know what? Jeremy knows marketing. Jeremy knows webinars. I can try to figure it out and fail on my own, or I can skip 6 years of my life, figure out, hey, I'm going to go to the GOAT in this space. I'm going to learn from someone who's years ahead of me, and I'm going to follow their coattails and be just like them in that space. And so that was part of my identity, is realizing I am this person. I have this in me. It's in my DNA, and everyone who's listening has that in their DNA. Even if grandma and grandpa didn't have it, there's that itch to do something and to make an impact. And that's what gets people up in the morning. Even if you're not doing it today, there's that nag in the back of your head that that's part of who you are as a human being, that God created you to be. And that's there planted with a purpose.
Totally agree, bro. Totally agree. And I love what you talked about going to somebody that already knows how to do the thing and learning from them. Because I think one of the things that hurts people's identity is when they try to do everything on their own. And all they do is see the surface level. So they just bump their head and do it wrong for years. And then, even though it's just a small tweak, something they didn't understand, their identity becomes, I'm a failure.
Straight up. And a lot of it,
just had complete information.
And a lot of it comes through, what is it, nature versus nurture. When you're a kid growing up, probably what most people have heard is, hey, go get a job. 15, 16 years old, a lot of the jobs are hourly based. So very early on, you're trained, okay, more time equals more money. Not a lot of kids are told, hey, go sell a lawn mowing service, you make $50. Or you could do the job and make $10 an hour babysitting. There's not enough young training of like, hey, you can either own the business, you can sell some of the services. And so you have to have the hindsight to realize, okay, what was I observing? What was I practicing? And what was the foundation that was going into my life growing up? And identity is one of those things you have to think about your thoughts. And it takes someone to tell you, you got to do it, and you got to be checking yourself 24/7, or else you wake up and you actually don't really know who you are. So it's a wild world.
Yeah, it's cool. And I like that you mentioned about how we're taught growing up with time, which I do not like. Anybody that's seen my webinar knows the first thing I do is dispel the time is money myth. I can't stand it. I think when you believe time is money, then consequently you end up trading a whole lot of your time for a little bit of somebody else's money. It's not a fair trade at all.
At the end of the day, the person who's masterminding everything, that the person who puts the deal together is usually the person that walks away with it. That's why lawyers and CPAs usually get some of the highest fees out of a lot of commerce that's going on in the professional services space.
Yep. But I'm reading this book and about this really high level entrepreneur, really high, like people paying 6 figures to be coached by him in the early 90s.
Dang.
So could you imagine? Like, I want you to coach me whatever 30 years ago, and it's yeah, it's gonna cost you $200,000. $200,000 back then?
A lot of money, man.
And just reading a story about his son and how the level of thinking his son, because they grew up like golf course community. And he's like, Dad, I noticed these people go and they spend a lot of money on golf balls. And they're terrible. They hit the golf balls, they go flying, they go over the fence, they're in people's yards. They have to go back and buy more golf balls.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, I think if I just collect the golf balls they lost, I could resell them and I could make money. And I was like, that's insane. I never thought of naturally I wouldn't thought that as a kid. But then the levels his dad took it was he's like, all right, now I just got to figure out how do I get the golf balls? And then he's like, do I just go knock on people's doors and ask them if I can get golf balls out their backyard? And his dad was like, you could do that, or you could provide a service where you clean up the golf balls from people's backyards, get paid to get the golf balls, and then go resell the golf balls.
It's unreal. Like, you got to be creative. There's so much opportunity out there, and for the folks that are super creative, that's where the folks that are wired to start a business, to launch a business, to make a competing business. That's where they're wired. I'm not that creative. I'm a pretty creative person. I don't know if I could have done that. And that's why I thought, I'm going to buy an existing business. I'm not great at starting from the ground up. I'm great from taking something from good to great. I know digital marketing. I know how to create compelling copy. I know how to find and network with vendors. I'm going to take something that's worked, but just needs some polishing and some tweaking and take it to the next level, because I'm an accelerator and I need something that's moving to go rocket speed rather than building something from scratch. So that's why I went with a buy an existing business route, and let's launch something from the ground up and go from there. But you never know. If you're that creative person, maybe starting from scratch is your game, or if you're an improver, maybe buying an existing business is your game. It's really up to you, which is kind of nice.
So walk us through that process of buying a business. Like what's required? What's the process? What's the research to do? Like what does that even look like?
Absolutely. So it's a very much a human people business. I didn't realize that until probably halfway through the deal. So what I realized early on, I don't know where I got the idea, but when I was wanting to buy a business, I just started going to, there's common websites like Biz Buy Sell. There's a couple broker websites here in the Twin Cities. That's where I live. And I realized I would submit these online inquiries, and a lot of times I wouldn't hear back from them. So what I started to do actually is I would go to those public website listings, and I would just look up who the listing agent was, the broker. I'd get their phone number. I would just Google their LinkedIn or whatever, and I'd figure out what their email was. And I just started networking. And I knew right away, I didn't have a whole lot of cash. I had probably $45,000, $50,000 saved up for buying a business. I knew I wasn't private equity. I wasn't an experienced business owner. I was a rookie, and I wanted to realize that these guys are probably used to a lot of tire kickers. And so my position as a first-time buyer was to be, hey, I'm not going to overpromise, puff myself up. I'm going to be the humble, straight shooter. So literally, I just called a few places. I wanted to kind of polish and practice my pitch. I'd reach out and say, hey, John, my name's Nathan. I saw your listing for a roofing business. I have 50,000 cash. I've never owned a business. I want to get into this business, buy an existing business kind of thing. I don't know what I'm doing. Here's why I think your roofing company might be a fit. But if it's not, feel free to tell me what I can do to be a better buyer, and shoot straight with me. Cause I'll be honest with you, I'm not going to waste your time. Could you help a guy out? And it was incredible. Brokers and business owners will be generous to humble truth tellers. If you're driving up acting like a baller, wearing the fancy watches, dude, they've seen that 100 times. They've seen the players. They've talked to the real players, the fake players. But if you're just the young, eager to learn, hungry to do something that they've done, they see themselves when they hear you speak. And so they want to help them they want to help the younger them, because they've been helped out by someone who helped them, and they want to pass that on. So that was my strategy. Start figuring out who the players were in my town, what kinds of businesses are for sale, like different industries. What could I afford with $45,000, $50,000, so I have a realistic price point? And then from there, what things do I have not on paper to make me a compelling buyer? And so my employment history actually was a big help with helping me buy an existing profitable gym.
That's amazing. And I think that's something people don't think about. Like, I feel like people think they have to be impressive, right?
And that's the identity thing. It's, hey, who do I look up to? I look up to Flash, Pizzazz, homes, autos, vacations. Maybe that's who I have to be, because I'm not good enough, right? And it's that self-talk that you don't monitor. And yeah, there'll be some folks that say, hey, you look broke, you're a tire kicker, I'm not going to talk to you. But there's a lot of folks, I'd say probably 60% of at least business brokers, the agents that make the deals happen, they would stop their day and say, hey, I'm busy right now. Let's chat tomorrow at this time slot. I'll give you some articles. Here's what an SBA loan is. Here's how you could get to a deal closing. I'll help you out. I'm not going to give you everything, but I'll give you enough to take the next step forward. So people are out there are generous. Usually a business broker has been a business owner, but just coming in and saying, hey, here's what I've got, good and bad. Eventually you'll find some good souls out there that will help you, that will give you the 15 minutes, that will help you get to where you're trying to go. And it's still gonna be a lot of legwork, but at least they'll give you the right direction when you're humble and you're straight up with them and you're very, very transparent with them.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's definitely incredible. So I hope people take that and and this crazy because you get people like me, like I don't feel like I can be like, oh, I'm gonna be out here and I'm gonna try to be this impressive person. Like, Jeremy, you look like you're 13 years old. Like, ain't nobody being impressed by you.
And at the end of the day, I think that's what this world wants more of, is the honesty, the realness. And I know authenticity, that's a buzzword that's being thrown around. But if people were to see you in the highs and the lows throughout the day, and you're still that same consistent person, that's when they'll help you out. And so that's how I met that's how I got into the deal for the gym with the broker. That one was actually through an online, I think it was like bizbuysell.com or something. I did submit an inquiry, and that's how he and I got in touch. And it was kind of funny at the time. I had some non-compete stuff, so I wasn't able to buy the gym at the time. After that non-compete time period finished up, I reconnected with the broker that said, hey, is this deal available? I'm still interested. I have employment history in the same space as the business. I'm not just trying to roll this up and own 50 gyms, and this is just another notch in the belt. I want to put some elbow grease into this. I want to care about the staff. I want to help the members not have a price spike on them after the sale. I want to take care of the customers and the employees. I care about this. And the broker said, yeah, it's still available. Let's see what we can do. And that's how we got going. And so being honest about what you can do, giving them a timeline on closing and everything, it helps with your credibility, because brokers know brokers. Business owners talk to each other. It's a small world, and you want to have a good personal and professional reputation, because you'll talk to probably 4 or 5 people throughout the deal, and they'll help you get to the closing table. And if one guy is not a fan of you, they could kill the deal. Because I talked to an attorney, and one deal that she was working on, a buyer drove up to buy a humble business, drove up in a new Jaguar, like a fancy Jaguar. The lender said, not this business. This isn't the right guy. Everything lined up except the banker didn't like the buyer. Deal was dead. And so it's a human business connecting with people on a human level. So that's the biggest nugget I can give on buying a business. You got to be not a salesperson, but you got to be a real person, one way or the other.
Yeah, I love it. And it's crazy because you said don't be a salesperson. And I think it was so weird. Most of the people who bought from me, they buy from me because you're just like a regular guy.
Yeah.
Because anytime I'll be on sales calls or any pitching environment, I'm like, I am just a regular. I am not going to. I am me. Take it or leave it.
Yep. Straight on.
You gonna get JEREMY. That's all I got to give.
That's all, and that's all you really should be giving. You don't want to give out something phony, because that's called fraud. If you're not yourself, that's truly what fraud is. Or buying something from Alibaba. I don't know, probably about the same thing if someone's phony out from overseas. Oh gosh. So yeah, that's how I found the gym. There are probably 10 or 15 gyms for sale in, at least in my search, in my hometown. There's lots of businesses you can buy. You can buy a franchise that's with a fancy brand all across the country. You can buy an independent business where it's Jeremy's Gridiron Gym and you're buying it from Jeremy. And that's called an independent business. And so figuring out, do you want to work with an established existing brand? You probably pay some fees and royalties, like 7% of revenue, but you're also with a bigger system with some training materials. Or you can buy something that's independent. And some people want something that's very organic and local, and just knowing what system you wanted. I personally want to work with a system. I was fine paying that fee and that royalty. I still am. And so I start off by knowing I want to go franchise over an independent. Those are the two sides of any business that people buy. I had 3 criteria. Is it cool if I go into my criteria, how I was looking for business? Is that cool?
Please do. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So I had 3 criteria. I want to keep it simple, but laser focused. I wanted to own something that was profitable or break even. A lot of businesses for sale are often for sale because they're losing money and someone wants to just get out. So I said, all right, it's got to be profitable or break even. So it's got to do that and not be a money pit. Second, I wanted to make sure that had a full management team. I work a full-time day job for a tech company. I didn't have 40 hours, 20 hours, or even 10 hours a week to invest. I wanted to have a staff management team that I could up level and upskill and make sure that they can run the day-to-day operations, and I can do some behind the scenes work at home if needed. So fully staffed as well. Third and foremost, I wanted to make sure that it was a business model that I was comfortable with. So some gyms, they'll have different sales tactics. Their main thing might be get through the door for $10 a month, and then they try to sell you on the $1,000 personal training program. Or they sell you on a $1,000 program and you get a $10 service. I wanted to feel good with what they were selling because I wasn't going to reinvent the wheel. I wanted to take what they were already doing that was working. So I had to like the product and their pricing structure, and that I'd be a kind of person that I'm comfortable buying into. So fully staffed, profitable, and a business that I'm not ashamed of owning at the end of the day. And you'd be surprised. Some folks will violate those and they burn themselves out on their time, on their cash flow, or they're just ashamed to tell people, yeah, I run a sleazy business, because really that could be what they're doing. And believe it or not, I went through probably 62 deals before I found the deal that I bought. It was deal number 63. I was looking at deals in middle of nowhere, Oregon, Houston, Texas, Miami, Florida. I live in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So Lifetime Fitness, Snap Fitness, Snap Anytime, and Lifetime Fitness, and now Orange Theory, their headquarters are all in Minnesota. So I was checking those brands out quite a bit. And dude, it's amazing. I'd say probably 90% of all deals I checked out were losing money every month. And so I had to get creative if I wanted to start doing my own prospecting. I was looking at the stuff that was for sale. I was starting to entertain, maybe I should look for stuff that's not for sale, buy it off market, do some networking. And that was my plan B. I ended up finding something that was listed and profitable, and profitable, staffed, and it was a product that I believed in. And so I didn't have to go far, and I lucked out. It's actually 20 minutes from my house. But literally, man, most of the deals were not in Minnesota, and I was ready to hop on a plane and go check out those locations because this business ownership thing is for me, was for me, and it's part of who I am. So that's how I vetted deals, and that's how I was prospecting and what I was looking for.
Dude, that's awesome. That's incredible. So, and I love like any business. I just love the world. I love like proven model. Like people who know me intimately know I plan on buying to the Cinnabon franchise. I plan on owning 11 locations. That's been a goal of mine for like 10 years.
Yeah.
Assuming, because I started looking to it, because I don't want to be there running the day to day.
Yeah.
So I got a management partner or whatever. We got to figure that out. But
yeah. And that's an area that some folks can do. You can have investors come on in. You can do your own cash. Banks want to help you if the business looks healthy and safe. You look 18, sane, sober, and like a good human being. Banks will help you. They'll help you figure out how to finance the deal, how to make the money work so that you can get across the finish line. Bankers are there to help the deal make it to the finish line. It's just like a house. If you're buying a house or buying a car, man, if you go to a car dealership, they will do everything to help you get financing. Like they're the best financiers in the world, for better or worse. Like if you want the car, they will help you get the car. It's the same with businesses. If you're a good person, a good business, they want to help you get the financing too. And so that's usually the hardest part. We're the good people and the good businesses. Banks will make it happen.
Absolutely. So that's cool, man. And I don't want to run too long today, but
yeah.
Any final advice you will have? Any pitfalls? Any warnings you will want to give someone? Like, what's the key thing you'll want people to know about buying businesses? What should they look out for?
Yeah, gosh. Well, I've got my whole thing right here. Oh gosh, let me give me about 5 more seconds. I'm gonna find that right here for you. When I bought my business, everything was teed up to be a slam dunk, and there were a lot of areas after the fact that were not as I had anticipated. I'm gonna go here. I apologize. I had my email up and then it just crashed on me. But probably the biggest area is owners underestimate how much time they actually work in the business. They'll sell you the business. They'll say they're working at 5. They're probably actually, if you were to run it on your part-time thing, it's probably 20 hours. And so getting a good grasp on what are you actually committing to is a big deal. And so that's one area, making sure all the vendors are there. You want to talk to the vendors that service the business on what the bills are. If you ask the owner, they'll say, oh, it's $10,000. If you ask the vendors what they're charging the business, it could be closer to $20,000. So you want to talk to the vendors on what to do. You also want to talk to the employees to make sure everyone is properly classified so that you're not committing wage theft, you're playing IRS payroll games, they're not doing weird stuff behind the scenes. You also want to get actual 15 months of bank statements. A lot of businesses will cut marketing once they have a buyer in hand. They'll stop spending money on marketing, the pipeline dries up, and by the time you buy the business, they saved a couple dollars to now leave you way short of your customers and your opportunities. One course that I'm working on, and I know we'll keep it nice and tight. If you buy into a franchise like I did, every franchisor, every brand is obligated to publish an annual FDD, franchise disclosure document. Technically, a franchise is considered an investment, not just a business. So every brand, every franchise has to publish this document in every state across the entire country every year. You as an individual can go to your Secretary of State, look up the FDD, find all of the owners in your state, and you can start cold calling, cold emailing, because it has their name, phone number, and email publicly available if you know where to look. So you can ask them, hey, do you like the McDonald's brand? Do you actually make this much money? Statistically, it says you make this work this many hours. Is that true? Are they just fudging the numbers? And that's just one document. Inside that one document, there's 23 items every buyer has to be made aware of before you're even allowed to buy into the system. So knowing how to read the accounting, how to read an FDD, how to network with business owners, that's all very valuable. And one kind of thing that I did, if you're cool with me plugging a free piece of content here, I actually have a podcast.
Whatever you want.
Okay, let's go. So there's 3 areas. One, I'm in a business buyers club. I'll share some links after the fact because I don't have them up. But I'm in a business buyers club where folks can network with guys like me or gals like me on how to do due diligence, how to read a commercial lease, how to make sure this business is insurable. And so that's a membership club. Happy to share links with that. I'm also helped create a course with an attorney on how to buy a business and not get screwed. We don't have a price point solid on it yet, but it's about 40% cheaper than any of the leading influencers out there on their courses that don't really give you a whole lot to work with. So ours is bare bones cheap. We're underpricing it so people have the knowledge and that not be a hindrance. Finally, if people want free and they don't want to pay a dime, I have a podcast called the Business Buyer Diaries. What I did is when I was working and I'm still working, but when I was talking to these business owners, I started recording what I was doing as a prospective buyer. Then I started recording, hey, here's the seller. I met him today. Here's how our conversation went. And then during due diligence, here's how the deal might fall through from the bank. Even all the way through, here's the deal close. Here's the first month of revenue and profitability. And I have almost 300 episodes recorded, and I'm publishing a couple a day. So if folks just want to hear a day in the life chronicle video vlog, it's called the Business Buyer Diaries, completely free. And from the easy days to the nights at 2 a.m. where I'm ready to throw up because I'm scared about making payroll, it's all out there. Business ownership is not for the faint of heart. And I'm here with everyone, with your audience to realize what they're getting into. So that's what I would recommend is get plugged in, be around other people, movers and shakers, doing what you're doing. And there's more folks out there than you realize.
That's awesome, bro. I appreciate you just giving liberally to my audience and just, yeah, guys, tap in with Nathan. Where's some other places they can find you, like social links, stuff like that? How they find you on social media?
Yeah, so I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. I'm probably the most active on Facebook. That's how I manage some of the groups for my peer members. Guys, I'm plugged in with Jeremy. We're doing a lot of cool stuff behind the scenes. He's helping me out. I'm helping him in a few different ways. So be prepared. We want to get something launched here in the next couple of weeks. And then finally, I'd say probably Facebook and LinkedIn are my favorite 2 spots. As of today, I'm still an employee. I'm still a business owner, so I want to be active in both spaces. At the end of the day, though, I want to be a value giver and someone that really, really helps people avoid making mistakes other people have made. It's easy to see the flashing, the big prizes, the trophies of success, and not enough people talk about the shames and the mistakes they made. And I'm a guy that's going to wear my heart on my sleeve. I want to share with you the mistakes I make along the way so that you don't make those mistakes. I wish people helped me out more, so I'm going to be that guy that helps you out along the way. So let's connect over Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and let's do this together.
Awesome, brother. I say you definitely brought a lot of value to me. I know you brought some value to the people. And, bro, I just appreciate you for coming on today.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, everyone, and look forward to talking to you. Jeremy, thanks so much.
My pleasure.